come a long, long way. Made a lot of mistakes, but I'm breathing, breathing. That's right, and I made it, made it. This time I'm a little run down. I've been living out loud. I can beat it, beat it. That's right, 'cause I'm feeling, feeling invincible.
Aloha friends, this is Tito Kang coming to you on the LoliNation blog on this edition of Marvelous Mondays. Yes, here we are again in Marvelous Mondays, and I'm coming to you here, and summer is about to kick it up a notch. It is May the 14th, and this weekend it was Mother's Day, and I'll have a special message at the end of this blog post to you. But I wanted to come out to you and speak to you about two key things today. Two key things that got me inspired, because I've got to think, as I continue to coach folks and I continue to get questions from my subscribers and from my list, is how do I keep such an upbeat outlook? And what I've come to realize as I coach individuals as well as teams of individuals, it's truly has to do on a couple of things. First and foremost, it is the set of beliefs that you've grown up with. And now, in regards to that set of belief, I liken it to this. As you grow up, as you get older, your set of belief evolves. And what I mean by that is that it evolves from becoming a small little tiny boat. You know, if you sail and you have a small little tiny boat, it's easy to change direction for that small and tiny boat. But as you grow older, you add parts to the tiny boat. And at one point, your tiny boat is now a cruise line. It's actually a huge battleship, right? And that battleship is something that takes a bit more time to change its course. Now, if you're in a dinghy, it's easy. You put your oar into the water, phew, you change direction. In a battleship, you have to put the command. So the captain has to go down, put the command, it's got to go down, and you got to change the jet streams. I don't say that I understand the whole mechanism about it, but you understand what I'm trying to point out is that your battleship will change direction much slower, as long as you understand that. Now, the key part to understand, though, is that either you're in a dinghy boat or a battleship, okay, a dinghy boat or a battleship, the decision is the same. You're going this way and you want to head down that way, you just decide. That decision process is the same that you are in a dinghy boat or a battleship. And what I mean by that is that if you are wanting to change, you can decide to change today. Are you going to reach your direction or head towards where you want to change today? And it's going to affect right away. If you're in a dinghy boat, if you haven't been encrusted yet, you're not in that moment yet, you will be able to change fairly quickly. And it depends what you're trying to change as well. If your habits have been ingrained for a long period of time, it's got to take you a bit more time, and you've got to be conscious of that. You know, the second principle I want to talk to you about. So you understand that changing direction just takes a moment. Just take a snap a moment, and you can do that. Change that direction. Decide you're going to head down that way. That can be possible. Be conscious that when you head down that way, depending on how encrusted your habits are, if they've been there for a long time, it's going to take you a bit more time. So if your habits is to spend, and every time you got money, you spend, and you don't have a habit or a routine to actually take your money, understand money, and invest, it's got to take you a bit more time. Which brings me to the second principle. The second principle is what? Is that you have to be aware in every change program that you can see, you know, from AA to changing habit or to changing anything that you want to change, your skill sets, your competence, they make you realize, we have to understand you have to realize where you are at. You have to give yourself what I call the brutal truth. And what I mean by that is the only person that's going to be the most honest with you is, guess who? You. That's correct. Look yourself into the mirror and ask yourself the questions, you know, am I heading to where I want to head? You can lie to everyone around you, but you cannot lie to yourself. You will know exactly what you need to achieve. If you are in communication with yourself, which I call and consider your higher self, you are going to be able to understand that being conscious of what you are not doing and what you need to do is the second essential step. So change this direction. Know it's going to take some time. Second principles, understand what is it that gets in your way, and that what gets in your way is not your environment, it's not your friends, it's not your teacher, it's not your boss, it's not your colleague, it's not the family that you had, it's not the cousins, it's not the neighbors on the side, right? It's really you. That's what's getting in your way. You got to understand where you are at. Once you understand where you are at, then you can start affecting you and then affect the environment around you. I kid you not, if you get onto the step and understand that you start affecting you and it affects everything around you, you will affect change and you will start to head towards your prodigious success, which is the progressive realization towards your prodigious goal. Now, the third principle I want to share with you today is what? As you head over, so you've changed direction, okay, you've realized where you're not and you're starting to take action and you move forward with this action as you change. With every piece that you want to change your direction and where you're increasing your habits, you have a set of beliefs. And now what's key is that you understand where you are at, is understand how those sets of belief make you act or react. With every action, there is a reaction. Let me repeat that again. With every action, there is a reaction. So, as I've come over and faced my failures, as I've come through my journey and, been down and out, been kicked to the ground and felt that the world was crumbling on me, the weight of the world was on my shoulder, and I thought everything else was impossible, I always had a choice. I always had a choice. And it's a term that I've coined when I was much younger, right? I believe at the age of 16, I came up with this term because people talk about optimists and people talk about pessimists, and let me explain to you a couple of things about optimists and pessimists. So the optimist is that person when faced with a challenge, right, believes that the challenge is temporary. I've just read this week, because I continue to educate myself. I told you that. Now, what you got to believe also, what's the pessimist? The pessimist, when faced of a challenge, believes that the challenge will last forever. So in a recession and in a depression, the pessimist is like, oh, it's the end of the world, nobody's gonna make any more money, and December 12th is gonna come, 2012, and it's gonna be the end of the world. While the optimist looks at what is possible and believes that this is only temporary. The optimist looks at the sun and the cloud and understands that in a rainstorm, the clouds always shine in the back and it's only a question of time. Now, what was interesting is that the reverse happens when faced with a challenge, when faced with success. The pessimist, when faced with a success, so let's say, for example, the pessimist goes, you gain a bonus. The pessimist will go, oh, we were lucky this time around. This ain't going to come again. So for a pessimist, when faced with success, believes it is temporary. That success is temporary. And the optimist is the reverse. They will believe that success is permanent. You follow? So when faced with a challenge, the optimist will believe that is temporary, and the pessimist will believe that it's permanent. Faced with success or a great opportunity, the optimist will believe that it's permanent, and the pessimist will believe it to be temporary. So why is that happening? Because it's your core set of beliefs. It's your core set of beliefs that has you to do a reaction. Action, reaction. So let me give you an example. You send out an email, you give a message out to one of your very best friends, and you haven't talked to them for a while, and suddenly you send an email out, and the person doesn't respond to you. And then you send 2 emails and 3 emails, and suddenly you start getting mad. You start why is this person not responding to me? What's their gall? Why do they have this disrespect? Why, they don't like me anymore? And you go down this story because your set of beliefs has you believing that everything is centered around you. You follow? Everything is centered around you that's being wrong, or you said something wrong, or you did something wrong, and you set down this path of making it yourself depressive. Now you can change that set of beliefs and start understanding when your friend doesn't respond to you. You wonder, maybe they're really busy, and I'll try to get back to them again. Maybe something happened in their lives that it's been so great and they're traveling, or something has happened and Let me follow up with them later on. Make sure that they're okay. That set of beliefs then allows you to react. You follow? To act and react in a certain way that's positive for you. Because no matter what, your friend, they might be right or wrong. It's 50-50. 50% that they are actually arrogant, don't want to speak to you anymore, and they don't have any respect for you, whatever. Or they actually have something that is going on in their lives that's got them so busy, or they don't want to talk to anybody. You've been in that position when you don't want to talk to anybody. I've been in that position when I said, you know what, I want to be cut off from the world. I don't want to hear from anybody. Doesn't mean I don't like the person. But when you react that way and you believe it's about you, you just make yourself depressive, and it has nothing to do with the other person. It's what comes up. It's what I call the ego. The ego just pops up and says, hello. You got to shine a light on that ego. Shine a light so bright in changing your belief system. That ego goes back in the dark corner so you can live and be happy in the moment. So those are the three principles. Change directions. You can decide right now. You want to change, you want to stop smoking, you just say, no, I'm going to stop smoking. That's it, that's all. You want to say start saving, I'm going to start saving. Now, during that time, you have to understand where you are at. Not that every day, you might just, stop smoking for 1 day out of 7, or 1 time out of 10 in a day, but you are progressively working towards your worthy goals. That's success. That's success. But you got to understand where you're at, and you got to see the progressive realization, and you got to celebrate that realization, and understand what's your core belief. Once you are true to yourself, have the brutal truth, what's your core belief that's going to make you act or react accordingly, so you can adjust and readjust yourself. I hope this was helpful. This is Tito Kang for the LoliNation blog saying, as always, you have to do your best to make progress, and the past has made you where you are here today. Your history, the people you met, the books you read, the journeys you had, your experiences has made you what you are here today. You can't escape that. That's the brutal truth. That's the brutal truth. What you can do, however, what you can do is from what you learn, especially from what you learned from today, if this has inspired you, what you learned from today. And then on top of that, a lot of people just learn but don't do anything about it. You got to do from what you learn. Once you do from what you learn, you start defining who you become tomorrow. In the present, learn and do. Tomorrow, you define who you become. This is Tito Kang again saying aloha, mahalo, do your best and make progress. Until next time, and to your prodigious success.